Hello there everyone and welcome back to Green Gourmet. Today the recipe is a super crispy, super crunchy mushrooms that are not fried. They are completely oven baked. Yes, you heard me. It's possible to make them super crunchy even without frying them, so they have less calories. Before we go in the kitchen together, please subscribe to my channel, Green Gourmet, like and share this recipe with anyone who loves a delicious and easy vegan recipe. Now, the first thing is that you clean the mushrooms and then put them aside. For this recipe, I use oyster mushrooms, and I can only guarantee the final result with oyster mushrooms because I've never tried making it with any other mushrooms before. Now, you set the mushrooms aside and we prepare this breadcrumb mixture, which is what's going to make these mushrooms super crunchy and super delicious. It's basically only breadcrumbs, salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. I use the powder because in terms of the garlic, it's less strong and it's much easier to incorporate it in the mushrooms without having little bits and pieces of garlic in there. And the same goes for the onion powder. You don't have the bits and pieces of onion, and the onion powder also has this kind of nice roasted taste to it. I added parsley to this recipe because I really like them with parsley. I think that you can use like thyme, oregano, or other fine herbs or spices if you want to. I would not recommend spices because I think that it changes the flavor of these mushrooms way too much. And then once that's ready, and of course just put in a lot of extra virgin olive oil because it's got to be nice and moist when it goes on the mushrooms. Now, put the mushrooms in the pan. If you're using a non-stick pan as I'm doing, you're going to be fine. If you aren't, just make sure that you use parchment paper because this is my recommendation. I'm pretty sure that they will stick to the pan if you don't use parchment paper. And then you just reduce them into smaller pieces using your hands. There's no need to use a knife because oyster mushrooms are very easy to pull apart with your hands. And you bring them to slightly smaller pieces as I'm doing here. The idea is not too small, not too big, and make sure that they're all the same size because otherwise you're going to have some very dry ones and some others that are completely undercooked. Don't worry if the pan looks slightly crowded. As long as you don't overlap them, it's going to be perfectly fine. They're going to be evenly cooking if you don't put them on top of each other. Then I add again a little bit of salt and some extra virgin olive oil before I move on to putting the breadcrumbs on the mushrooms. And then we put our hands in the breadcrumbs mix and just cover all these mushrooms evenly. It's going to be quite a lot going on them, but it's perfect because as it's the breadcrumbs are actually going to help soak up a little bit of the water of the mushrooms, and they're going to be perfectly crunchy, perfectly crispy. I think that you can serve these as a finger food with any kind of dip or sauce, or they also go perfectly with anything you want to pair them with. And I think that they are very easy to make. As you can see, it probably takes 10 minutes total. They're simply delicious and al bacio. If you don't try it, you're missing out. I hope you like this recipe and let me know what you think about it. And if I did leave you longing for more, subscribe to my channel, Green Gourmet. And thank you very much. See you very soon on Green Gourmet for another recipe, another adventure, and a new video. Bye for now.